Hello students, this is Shweta Roy. This video is for Chapter 3 Geography Part 2 Drainage. In this video we are going to discuss about the Brahmaputra river system, the peninsular rivers. In this we have many subtopics. Then we have lakes, role of rivers in the economy, river pollution. So these are some of the important topics which we are going to discuss in this video. So here we will discuss about the topic the Brahmaputra river system. This river rises in Tibet east of Mansarovar lake and it is very close to the sources of Indus and Satluj. It is longer than Indus and most of its courses are outside of India. It flows parallel to the Himalayas outside the India, and when it reach Namcha, Barwa, it takes a U-turn and it enters in India in Arunachal Pradesh through a gorge. And there it is called Dihang and there it is joined by Dibang. Also it is joined by Lohit and many other tributaries in Assam. Now Brahmaputra is known as the Sangpo in Tibet and Jamuna in Bangladesh. Now when this river enters into Tibet, it has smaller volume of water and less silt because this area is a cold and dry area. When it enters in India, it passes through the region of high rainfall. So it carries large amount of water and more of the silt. Now in every year, it in rainy season, this river overflows and it causes flood in Assam and Bangladesh. Now the important things you need to keep in mind about this river is so the Brahmaputra river system, it starts from Tibet, then India, then Bangladesh, and then it drain into Bay of Bengal. The length of the river is 2,900 kilometer and it forms the Sundarban Delta, which is the world's largest delta with the help of river Ganga. So these are some of the important things which you need to keep in mind about this river. Then we'll move ahead towards the peninsular rivers. Now most of the peninsular rivers are formed in the Western Ghats and they drain into the Bay of Bengal. So we have the peninsular rivers like Mahanadi, the Godavari, the Krishna and the Kaveri, which starts from Western Ghat and it drains into the Bay of Bengal. Also, these rivers make a delta at their mouth. Now, in these two rivers are there, which is the Narmada and the Tapi. These are the only two rivers which flow west and make estuaries. That means all the rivers uh, except this Narmada and Tapi, they start from Western Ghat and they drain into the Bay of Bengal. But these two rivers, they go and drain into the Arabian Sea. Also, the drainage basins of the peninsular rivers are smaller in size if you compare to Himalayan rivers. So first we'll discuss about the Narmada basin. This river rises in the Amarkantak Hills, which is in Madhya Pradesh, and it flows towards west. It creates many picturesque locations. The Marble Rocks, which is near Jamalpur, the Duadar Falls. So these are some of the notable ones. Now the tributaries of Narmada are very short, and this Narmada basin covers the part of Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Then we have Tapi basin, and it rises in Satpura ranges in Betul district of Madhya Pradesh. And it flows parallel to the Narmada, but it is it is much shorter in length if you compare it to Narmada. And the basin of this river covers part of Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Then you have the Godavari basin. Now, this Godavari is the largest peninsular river. The length of this river is 1500 kilometers. So, you need to keep in mind these three rivers are very important: Narmada, Tapi, and Godavari. So, Narmada and Tapi is having a specific quality. They starts from Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh, and they uh, flow towards west and they drain into the Arabian Sea. Except these two rivers, all other peninsular rivers, they start from Western Ghat and they drain into the Bay of Bengal. So in this, Godavari is also a special one. It is the largest peninsular river, and because of this it is called Dakshin Ganga. Now it rises from the Western Ghat in Nasik district of Maharashtra. Its drainage basin is also largest among the peninsular rivers, and this river basin covers Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and Andhra Pradesh. Now there are many tributaries which join this river. In that you have the Purna, the Vardha, the Pranhita, the Manzra, the Vain Ganga, and the Pain Ganga. So these are some of the tributaries which join this river. Now, if you talk about the Manjra, the Vainganga and the Penganga, these are the very large tributaries. Next, we have the Mahanadi Basin, and it rises in the highlands of Chhattisgarh, and it flows through the and it reached to the Bay of Bengal. The length of the river is 860 kilometer, and the area which it covers is Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand and Odisha. Then you have the Krishna Basin, and it rises from a spring which is near Mahabaleshwar, and the length of the river is 1400 kilometer. It also reaches the Bay of Bengal. The tributaries of this river is Tungabhadra, Koyna, Ghatprabha, the Mast, the Bhima. These are the tributaries of Krishna. And the area which covers Maharashtra, Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Then you have Kaveri Basin, and it rises in the Brahmagiri range of Western Ghat, and this also reaches to Bay of Bengal in south of Kuddalore in Tamil Nadu. The length is 760 km, and the main tributaries are Amravati, Bhavani, Hemavati and Kabini. Now the area which it covers Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Now this river Kaveri makes the second biggest waterfall in India, which is known as Shivasamudram Falls. Also the hydroelectric power generated from the falls, which is supplied to Mysuru, Bengaluru and Kolar Goldfield. With this we have some smaller rivers also which flow towards the east. In that we have Damodar, the Brahmani, the Baitarni and the Subarnekha. So these are some of the smaller rivers which flows towards east. So our next topic is lakes. We have different types of lake. We have permanent lake. Most of the lakes are permanent, and some of the lakes contain water only during the rainy season. So they are seasonal. Now some lakes are there which are result of the action of glaciers and ice sheets, and some have been formed by wind, river action and human activities. So you can see some of the lakes are formed because of the human activities and some are formed naturally. Also you can see the meandering rivers across a floodplain, they form cutoffs that later develops into oxbow lakes. So this is also a form of lake. Now spits and bars form lagoons in the coastal areas, like you have Chilka Lake, the Pulikat Lake and Kolleru Lake. These are the examples of these lakes. Some of the lakes are having salty water and some lakes are having fresh water. So if you talk about the salty water lake, you have Sambor Lake, which is in Rajasthan, and its water is also used for producing salt, and it is also a seasonal lake. Now, whatever freshwater lakes we have, uh, in that most of the freshwater lakes are in the Himalayan region, and they origin from the glacier. Now, the Wular Lake, which is in Jammu and Kashmir, is the result of tectonic activity, and it is the largest freshwater lake in India. Also, we have Dal Lake, Bhimtal, Nainital, Loktak, and Barapani. These are the some lakes which are freshwater lakes. As we discussed, we also have some of the man-made lakes, the lakes which has been made because of the activity of human. So in that you have Guru Gobind Sagar, Bhakra Nangal project. So you have the lake Guru Gobind Sagar, which is the example of man-made lake. Now when we talk about the importance of lake, what is the importance or use of lake? So a lake helps to regulate the flow of a river. Also it prevents flooding when it is heavy rain, and it maintain an even flow of water during the dry season. Also it is used for developing hydel power, that means electricity. Lakes also moderate the climate of the surroundings. They maintain the aquatic ecosystem and enhance natural beauty. Also tourism is developed because of the lake. Also it provides recreation. So these are some of the importance of lakes. Then we will talk about role of rivers in the economy. How river contributes in economy. So when we talk about the river water, they are the basic natural resource which is essential for various human activities, and because of this our ancients, the people, the early people, they settled around the river banks. Also these settlements now became big cities. So how it contributes in economy? So it contributes in economy as the rivers are used for irrigation, navigation, hydropower generation. So these are the spatial significance of rivers which contributes in the economy of the country. We also have other uses as we have various human activities like, yeah, rivers are also used for bathing, washing clothes, and the water of river is also used for household chores. So these are some of the uses, but when we talk about the economy, we have irrigation, navigation, and hydropower generation. These are the three significance. Then we have topic river pollution. So the growing domestic, municipal, industrial, and agricultural demand for water from the rivers is naturally affecting the quality of water. So because of this, more and more water is being drained out of the rivers, and rivers are reducing their volume. Also, untreated sewage and industrial influents are emptied into rivers, which is affecting the quality of water and also the self cleansing capacity of the river. We have an example of Ganga. Ganga water is able to dilute and assimilate pollution loads within 20 kilometers of large cities. But because of the increasing urbanization and industrialization, do not allow it to happen, and the pollution level of many rivers has been rising. So we have various plans to reduce the pollution of the river. So here we have NRCP. NRCP is National River Conservation Plan. It is the river cleaning program in country. We also have the Ganga Action Plan GAP, which was introduced in 1985. So the Ganga Action Plan was expanded to cover other rivers under the NRCP in year 1995. And the objective of NRCP is to improve the water quality of rivers, which are main water sources in the country, through the implementation or pollution abatement work. Here you have a quick review of the chapter. So go through this and you will understand the whole chapter in short. I hope you all understood all the topics taught in this video. Thank you.